Hey, welcome back to a very special episode of the Family Records. It's episode 42. It is the recap, the greatest hits, the 100 subscriber special, even though we're well past 100 now. But I did have this idea when we hit 100. We're going to do a little recap, a little run through of the first 33 records in the Family Records. So this is my vinyl collection, the start of it. We're going to run through this in just a very broad sense, look at the albums, try to go in order. I've got the order here, so we'll try to go in order, and we'll see what happens. And this should be cool because some of these records were part of the series before it evolved, so we didn't get to tell some of the stories of some of these records, and we won't this time either, but just good to go back, to look at them, and to sort of point out, like, oh, you know, here would be a great record to go back and touch on. But that's enough preamble. Let's get right into it, starting off with the very first episode of the Family Records, and that was Box of Frogs, Strange Land. So I pulled this record out for the very first record, and yeah, I was scared because I was like, oh my goodness, there are going to be some weird fucking records in this collection, and no one is going to like them. What do I think about this record? Yeah, it was better than I thought it would be, honestly. I thought it was going to kind of be trash. It's even looking at it now, there's lots of details on the front cover that I just forgot about or didn't recognize. The cover is crazy. Like, the art on this album is really good. Art direction, Mark Lawson. Yeah, illustration, John H. Howard. So John H. Howard did a great job on this album. It was good. Out of 10, 6.1 for this one. That's Box of Frogs. So that was episode 1, Box of Frogs, Strange Land, and then we were just rolling, and the next album that I picked out was, and this was one that I was sad that we didn't have the format for, but it was Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Now this is a great album. Terrific work. Anyone who has listened to this album knows. So good. The stories behind it are so good. This will be one for sure that I'll have to go back and look at, and it was actually even one that when I was designing the format for the new storytelling iteration, I wrote scripts based on this album specifically as sort of a proof of concept, and also because I knew the story about this album was, like, literally every time I would talk about this album, my dad or my mom or, you know, the Syd Barrett story, this crazy story with Syd Barrett, and it is crazy. I mean, there's a reason that everyone talks about it, but yeah, this one definitely was one that, you know, it was one of those things where it was too bad, but at the same time, it's good. We'll go back one day. We'll look at it. The stories are not going anywhere, so it's good. That's a terrific album. Let's give that one an 8.4 out of 10. Great album. And the next one was also quite good. Here it is. It's a big one. It's Fleetwood Mac, Tusk. Now, Fleetwood Mac really had a big moment. Well, they've had several big moments throughout their career, but a few years ago, the Rumors album came back hard after, I don't want to get the guy's name wrong, so because I'm like, it's Dog something, I think. But anyways, that skateboarding guy drinking the iced tea? Arizona iced tea? Sorry. I didn't look up the meme before doing this. But yeah, Fleetwood Mac, big moment from that meme. This album, not as many of the big hits that people always think about for Mac. However, and it's a double record release with some amazing art, really great artwork. But for me, the fourth side, second vinyl, second side, oh my goodness. Second vinyl, second side, this guy. The song Honey High. Now, I was going through some stuff when I listened to this album, least of which being just life scared of not having a job, and was I going to be a homeless, and all these things. So I am not sure. I was like, man, I organized these alphabetically, and now I'm looking at them, I'm like, did I? How does Terrence Trent D'Arby go in front of Jimi Hendrix? Because then I'm like, I guess it was the album name, but then this, I don't think that this follows. So anyway, I'm going to have to reorganize that. It's not in order, but that's fun. We're just going to move on to our next album, which was Neil Young, Freedom. Now, when I first started this series, I told a few people close to me, I'm like, look, I don't know what's going to be in the collection. Like, legitimately, I do not know. I've had that collection kicking around for like a decade, and I never fully went through it. That's why I'm doing this now. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing this now. But anyway, all this to say, I had said to a friend, look, I have a selection of albums that have been taken out by friends and by people who wanted to listen to specific ones. I've kind of got like a greatest hits of the albums separate. And so, if you look at some of those early episodes, you can see a chunk of albums in one of these, and that was the greatest hits. And in my mind, I was sort of like, okay, if I'm starting to pull these albums out and they're all like Box of Frogs level, like obscure, unknown, no one's going to pay attention to. And I'm not hating on Box of Frogs, to be clear. Like, it's a good album and they're an interesting band, but just in terms of a popularity metric, not topping the scale there. But anyway, I think it was by this album that I sort of realized, like, I'm going to be fine. We went from Box of Frogs to Pink Floyd, huge, to Fleetwood Mac, huge, to Neil Young, Freedom. I didn't rate Fleetwood Mac, by the way, but that Fleetwood Mac album, I'm going to give a 7.4. 7.4 on Fleetwood. Freedom, bunch of great songs on here. Rockin' in the Free World. Rockin' in the Free... I'm like, it's on here twice. I feel like there was more that I really liked on here, but now that I'm reading it, I don't recognize Crime in the City. I remember Crime in the City. Don't Cry, Hanging on a Limb, Elder. Anyway, Rockin' in the Free World is sick. Would have been an interesting album to talk about in terms of the political context. So how that song was used, and Neil Young wasn't happy about it. It was Donald Trump. Donald Trump used that song. Neil Young wasn't happy about it. Obviously, Neil Young is politically opposite from Trump. So I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff with this album. The least of which is that Donald Trump using that song he just does not understand what the song is about, because he's the last person who should be using it. So anyways, I don't know why I'm trying to put these back in order, because I'm going to have to reorganize them. So I'm just going to do that. Freedom, Neil Young, excellent album, 7.8. Box of Frogs. And we also pulled out, this is our next one. This is our next album, Hearts and Bones. I don't know what the last one was, but Hearts and Bones, Paul Simon, again, pulled this, started to realize, like, yeah, this collection's got a bunch of bangers in it, it's fine. Paul Simon's great. This is a good album. Think Too Much was good. I think the A, Renee and Georgette Magritte. I remember when I was listening to this album back then, that song always got listened to when I was a kid. Crazy nostalgia for Renee and Georgette Magritte with their dog after the war. Good album. Good album. 7.8 for this one. But you see what I'm talking about? How I started to sort of realize, like, oh yeah, right, it was Pink Floyd. How I started to realize, like, okay, we're gonna be okay here. There's not enough weird shit in this collection. And like now I'm kind of like, the weird stuff's kind of more interesting to me, right? Okay, so then our next album, the next episode was ELO. Damn, ELO is so good. This was definitely the first album that I pulled out that I sort of had a visceral like reaction to, because I love ELO. I love this album. It's so good. Telephone Line, Living Thing, Do Ya. Like it's good. It's just all good. ELO's so good. This actually came on when I was driving around today. I forget what track, but yeah, I don't remember which track because I'm like, do I have another one of their albums? Anyway, and that sort of became like the rating metric a little bit for me, was like, did I add the album to my streaming library or not? Yeah, I added this one to my library. It's a banger. 8.7. I think that's my highest rating yet. 8.7. Love that album. Love that album. And then, yeah, we got Charlie Parker, my guy, Charlie Parker. These are back in the day when I used to say the name of the album right when I pulled it. I don't do that anymore because of this album, actually, because I was like, oh, The Immortal by Charlie Parker. Of course, it's The Immortal Charlie Parker, an album released after his death, comprised of a bunch of recordings he made while he was alive, like 15 years before or something. I forget. I wish I had been able to tell the story of this album, too, because it's super interesting. Charlie Parker's a great musician. But, yeah, I love jazz. This was a great album to pull. A little more obscure. Didn't maybe have as big a reach as something like ELO, but I really enjoyed pulling this because it sort of, it just gives a good look at the collection and at my parents' musical taste, which was pretty good, honestly, pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with them. So Charles Parker, 7.7. 7.7. He's my guy. Okay, Thin Lizzy. This is what I'm talking about, where I'm like, how did I organize these things? I'm like, did I put it in J for Jailbreak? Oh, dear. There we go, Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizard. Sick album. I added it, and honestly, I would say probably out of all the ones I really liked, this was one that maybe fell off a little bit for me. I kind of, like, I don't know, Thin Lizzy in the moment, so good, but then it just is kind of a harder one to think about, I guess. But, I mean, look, Jailbreak and Boys Are Back in Town are on this album. Bangers, certified, there's no question. So for this one, I am giving Thin Lizzy 8.9. So then, moving on to the next episode, we have got Cry to the House, Temple of Low Men. Yeah, a bit more obscure. We hit a little obscure run here with a couple of these. This is a good album. What Sister Madly? That is the kind of big hit off of this album. Definitely recognize that song. Love This Life is also good. I feel like there's at least another one, maybe Mansion in the Slums, I forget, but interesting band, good album, a couple good tracks off that. I don't think I added this on my streaming, or did I add it on my streaming? Yeah, I'm not gonna check, but 7.2, Cry to the House, Temple of Low Men. Next. Another more obscure, Man, The Welsh Connection. Interesting band. I didn't add this to my streamer, obviously. I'm just trying to ride in the view. Out of Your Head. Yeah, that song is good. Yeah, Out of Your Head. Good song, interesting band, crazy cover. 6.9. Okay. Then we did a whole 180 and we picked out one of the top albums of all time according to Rolling Stone. They might be biased, but it's the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street. This was I think my first, I want to say this was my first video where I cracked hundreds. So until that point, and I don't think that anything had really had over 100 to that point either. Like now some of them do, but I don't think at that time anything had hit over 100 for me until this. Now this is the second last album of the preseason, so I was almost done feeling out the formula of the series and figuring out how I was going to shoot it and how I was going to do it. Still didn't have a microphone at that point. Still wasn't telling stories at that point. I'm going to be real. I didn't really care for this album that much. I know it's super popular. I know I got a ton of views, a ton of love on it. But I'll be real. I remember listening to it, and I think like by side 3, I was like, oh my god, is this gonna get to anything good? And it did. I feel like side 4 was very strong for me. It doesn't actually have a track list here, which is too bad. But I feel like side 4 was very strong for me. But yeah, look, I'm weird, guys, so I probably just missed the boat on this one, and you're probably all right. And because of that, because of the popular opinion, I'm going to bump this up slightly, 7.1 out of 10. I know, you're probably still mad at that. It's probably way too low. For like top 10 album of all time, according to Rolling Stone, that might have shifted because they've done multiple lists. But yeah, not for me. Not for me. And then the last episode of the preseason. Kilburn and the High Roads, Handsome. Now, I don't remember Ian Dury. Yeah, he goes on and does another band, a big band. I forget what it is. Didn't write the stories about this at the time, but I did read about it. So this is sort of like his first band, for their first album. Cool artwork. And then I think it's like a real picture with drawings imposed over it. But anyway, he goes on to make another band. Leave it in the comments if you know what that band is, because I forget. But yeah, they were much bigger than the Kilburns, or Kilburn and the High Roads. I don't know. The Kilburn says the Kilburns back here, so I guess the band is the Kilburns, but then Kilburn and the High Roads is the name of the band. I don't know. It was okay. 6.6. That's the lowest rated I think so far. I'm not even hating on it. It just, wasn't for me. You know what album was for me though? When I pulled this one out, and this was the first episode of season 1, I was like, we are on a roll, baby. My favorite album that I pulled so far, I think. Oh no, that's actually a lie, but this was my favorite album that I pulled that I knew about. So when I pulled this album, I knew, yeah, this is going to be a good time. Fuck, I love Dire Straits. So good. This album is amazing. What do I even need to say? Brothers in Arms, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life. I'm like, there's more. I know there's more. Yeah, it's just so good. Like, the whole album is great. Brothers in Arms is great. Salt in the Swing is not on here. My buddy TJ shouted out Salt in the Swing. That's also sick. I'm excited to pull that album out too. But yeah, my favorite album that I pulled that I knew about so far, 9.1. Easy 9. Easy 9. And then, because this is why I was saying, like, oh, it's my favorite, and then I realized, like, well, actually, no. Just gotta find it. No. Here we go. I found it. Todd Rundgren, Initiation. Okay, this legitimately is the craziest album I've listened to so far. The craziest out of every album that I've listened to, by far. This is insane. This album has sounds on it that are from the future. When this album was made in 1975, so probably it was released in 75, so like 73, let's say. Dude, some of the things that Todd Rundgren is doing on here, like, no, as far as I know, no one had concepted to that point. There are parts of this album that sound like Death Grips. There are parts of this album that sound like Daft Punk in 2010. It's insane. His work on the synthesizer, this guy is a genius. When I pulled this album out, my mom was sort of like, yeah, no, like, and I think he has his reputation for being like an asshole and one of those people who, it's a really fine line. When you know that you're good, it's a really fine line between sort of, I'm trying to think of it, because it's like, it's arrogance and confidence. It's ego and self-assuredness, and it's two sides of the same thing, and it's very difficult to strike the right balance of going into a room and having an air of confidence and not being a cocky fuck. So I am sure that Todd Rundgren made a lot, because he was 18 when not when he made this album, but when he started making music. He literally did it his whole life. Amazing, like, top level producer. He played every instrument on this. I want to make sure I'm not lying, but basically it doesn't actually say here, but basically he played everything. maybe it's gonna say here. Yeah, it's on the second side, which is the crazy part. Like the first half of this album, the first side is kind of more traditional sounding, which is fine. Like Born to Synthesize is good, Initiation is good, but man, side 2, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire, and there's like parts of it, but really it's one big track. All instruments by Todd Rundgren. Amazing, incredible, and again, this is back in the 70s. The work he actually had to do with like analog style synthesizers, essentially. Incredible work. Likely the greatest album that I've pulled out so far. Spoke to me, added it on my streamer, obviously. Cannot recommend this enough. And I have seen comments from people saying this isn't even his best work. So of course, that may just be subjective. They may find this album less good than others, or he may have gotten even better, or have been better before. So I'm really hoping to find some more Rundgren in the collection, or get this audience big enough that some of y'all send me some Rundgren. But yeah, he is a genius level music creator. Yeah, this is easy. I'm kind of trying to do a Portnoy here with the ratings. I'm gonna give it that 9.3, okay? I'm gonna give it that 9.3, and that's like amazing. Like I want to go 9.6. I'm very tempted to go 9.6, but I'm gonna give it a 9.3. Give myself some decimal points just in case. Okay, next, back to Pink Floyd. Adam Hart Mother, The Cow. Cool thing I found out about this album, because I got 2 of them for sure, maybe more, but 2 of them for sure, because this is a Spanish release. This was released in Spain, and my mom basically told me the story about how Uncle Tom was traveling, and this came out, and he had to get it, so he got it in Spain. I don't think my mom was there. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, we realized when we saw the Estéreo Spanish there. Definitely Uncle Tom's album. Picked it up in Spain. Uncle Tom, love you, man. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Love you. The record was fine. Honestly, kind of forgettable for me. 7.5. 7.3. 7.3. Okay. Next, we got the... Here we go. The Talking Heads. Naked. Talking Heads, great band. Cool cover. Mr. Jones was on here. Facts of Life was good. This is a good album. I definitely did add this to my streamer, and I know because some things on the streamers, they have like animations and stuff for the artwork, and this one did. It had this weird like moving in and out thing. So, good album. Not great. Good. 7.5. Talking Heads. Talking Heads are winners. I'm a fan of that band. Big fan. Okay. Now this, I believe Talking Heads was my last album of the old format, and then we go into a transition for a couple of albums, starting off. Yeah, okay, because I'm like, at this point now, I started off like writing the names of the albums down, and then I realized like, oh, I probably should like at least make people click on the video to find out. I'm in this like thumbnails are like one of the craziest things to figure out on YouTube. Like it's something that you don't think about at all, and then when you start doing these videos and you're like, oh, I want people to look at them. Well, how do you do that? Like a thumbnail. That's your advertisement. So it's been really interesting. Anyway, Boomtown Rats. This video went crazy. 300 views, which like, yeah, is not crazy, but for me, it was crazy when it was blowing up. Interesting band. Definitely like originators in the punk space. Debut album, super impressive. Honestly, nothing. Joey's on the Street again. Yeah, that's good. That's a good song. Because Looking After Number 1 was what I was gonna say. Like the start of this album just fucking hits. Like it slaps you right away. But yeah, Joey's on the Street again. That's a good one. 7.5 on that one too. 7.4. But no, 7.5 because it was a hitter for me. So I appreciate it for that. And this one wasn't, which is too bad. Yeah, here we go. 99%. Yep. Man for Man. It's Earth Band. Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Solar Fire. Manfred Mann's sick. Good band. I don't really think that there was a ton on here. Yeah, like nothing jumps out at me as songs I remember. I'm 99% sure, though, I did add this into my streamers. Manfred Mann's good. I like Manfred Mann. This is a good album. 7.4. He gets a 7.4. Yeah, okay. We start to get into... yeah, War Heroes. Yeah, see, this is literally, I'm like having to kind of like decipher the names now from the stuff that's there. Jimi Hendrix, War Heroes, posthumous album. Good, not great, because they just take a bunch of random stuff that wasn't sort of done. I really like Three Little Bears, though. That song just like messes around. It literally does feel like something where it's like they were never going to put that out. Like it's just sort of a studio fuck around. But because he was dead, they're like, well, hey, let's make some money. Good album, though. Hendrix is sick. Like the guitar playing, unreal. So just for the guitar playing, 7.8. The album's kind of weak because, like I said, it's not really anything specific. But the guitar, 7.8. Dude kills it. Plastic Ono Band. This is supposed to be there. It's a cloud, but then the album has a bunch of water damage on it, so I don't know where that came from, but it's also falling apart basically. Oh, this is where, okay, cool. I lost like the sleeve for the record, so I knew at some point going through here I would find a record without a sleeve. There it is. So I'll put that sleeve back in here. Plastic Ono Band. You know what? The album is like, but the story about it is pretty interesting. Cold Turkey is really good. I like Cold Turkey. But mostly this is like covers and some like meh. And then Yoko screaming a lot on the back half. A lot. But the story about the album is cool. Album, though, kind of meh. 6.6. I don't hate Yoko Ono, though. I know a lot of people hate Yoko Ono. I don't hate Yoko Ono. She's just a person. She didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. People just fucking hate. Okay. Here we go. The Eagles, greatest hits. Okay, first of all, I love you, but fuck you, the Eagles, or your management. You fuckers went so crazy on this album with copyright strikes. And I don't know why. Okay, I legitimately do not understand. I do. I understand, but I will never get record labels being worried about my content giving you access to the music. I put 10 seconds of music in terms of one song. Now that I'm doing the song stories, there's like a faded down version so you can hear a bit more of the track, but like legitimately, guys, less than a minute every time. So let's just even say the full thing's full of music, which is not. That's less than a minute of music every time. No tracks, or like a small percentage of tracks, are going to be able to be listened to in that time. I'm promoting your music. Like, I do not understand what you want. But anyway, yeah, they copyright struck the shit out of this. So I just took the short down. Fuck them. I don't care. And it's too bad because I like songs like Take It Easy. Actually, that's all I'm going to give to them, you know? Because I like some of the other songs too. Or Already Gone. Already Gone's great too. Take It Easy, though. I love that song. It's so good. It's too bad the Eagles managers are a bunch of cunts. Because of that, you're getting a 5.9. The album's better than that, but you fucked it up. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, it must be this one. Nope. Oh, right. It is this one. Yes. Because I'm looking for Simon and Garfunkel, but it's just Paul Simon. Still crazy after all these years. But this, see here, there you go. And the Simon and Garfunkel hit single, My Little Town. So this was sort of like the last time that they reunited. That's why it was a big deal. I'm pretty sure, I think there's like a couple things they do afterwards, but no albums. Like I think it's mostly just, anyway. Still crazy after all these years is sick. My Little Town is sick. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. That song is crazy because the sample in it was on Kid Cudi's mixtape. 50 Ways to Make a Record was the song that he did. And yeah, that was the first time, like, I know that I'm gonna find some samples, like some rap samples in some of these albums, because I always remember my mom freaking out about graduation, Kanye West graduation, because Champion, I believe it was, did you realize that you were a champion in their eyes? Enjoy my singing. She freaked out because there was some sample from some song on that, I forget what, but she's like, oh my God, it's a song. So anyway, that was really cool to hear 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover and realize, like, oh yeah, well, holy shit, Kid Cudi just took that beat. 8.1. 8.1. Okay, but this is not going to be 8.1. This is going to be a hitter. This album, god damn, Tubular Bells. Again, one that I picked out and immediately was like, what the fuck is this? But it shows what I know, because holy shit, Mike Oldfield, debut album, theme of The Exorcist, literally created Virgin Records. Not just through selling this record, like having a lot of sales, but also through selling this record. They created Virgin Records because no one else would put this record out. So Richard Branson just said, hey, fuck it, we'll do it. Yeah, massive, massive hit. Incredible album. So many good stories. So I was telling the stories of the album at that point. I'm pretty sure I must have been, right? No, you know what? I think I started on John Lennon, maybe. I forget. Honestly, I forget now. This whole thing's a blur. But anyway, it's too bad I wasn't doing the song stories for this. Oh yeah, that's why I started on John Lennon, the song stories. Because damn, there are some crazy stories about, the one I always think about, there's this great part in the album, I think it's on side 2 maybe, but where basically Oldfield just starts like he starts making like devil sounds almost, like he's like growling and grunting and yelling and stuff. Yeah, the story of that whole thing, incredible. I won't get into it now because I want to go back and do some more content on this because this album is sick. So I am going to do that at some point. But yeah, unreal album. It did great views for me too, so I love it for that. 9.3. Easy 9.3. That's what I gave Initiation to, right? I hope so, because I think both of those are just excellent albums. And while I think Initiation is a little bit better, I think that they just both had just incredible effects on the music industry. So 9.3 for both. Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat, the second album from Velvet Underground. Good. Super interesting in terms of, again, ways that it sort of pushed music culture forward. Like the way they recorded this, basically, where everything was like peaking the hell out. And then they sort of just kept it and had that be a style. Super interesting. It's sort of the way I was talking to someone the other day about Skrillex and how Skrillex created really unique musical style through his use of he like groups sections of instruments together, and the groups within the groups, everything is like peaking like crazy, but then the groups through the master track are mastered at a good level, so you get this like, I guess, super like crunchy distorted sound almost that then is like mixed into the master at an appropriate level. Anyway, I probably totally butchered that, so I'm Sonny, if you ever watch this, I'm sorry, but made me think of this album. Yeah, Velvet Underground. There's a reason that they're so popular, and I definitely think on this album, I remember The Gift, Lady Godiva's Operation, and Sister Ray. Good songs. Because of their influence, 8.1. 8.1. Official Blues Band album, not the bootleg, just the official album. Good, not great. Didn't really know who they were. Interesting story about these guys. Boom Boom, Out Go the Lights. That's the song I remember. Don't think I added it in my streaming. 7.1. 7.1. Okay. Yeah. This one. This was my next sort of hitter. Everyone seemed to love this, and why wouldn't you? The Police, Sting, Message in a Bottle, White Reggae. My buddy TJ is like, do you think it was just a racial thing? That's why everyone clicked on the video, because I said white reggae. Almost at 500 views. I think that's my most popular full-length video to date. I think so. Almost at 500. Go back and watch that and bring it up to 500, okay? I only need a few more views. But yeah, Message in a Bottle, Walking on the Moon. Contact. Yeah, Contact. Yeah, I really like that song too. Contact. Sick song. Really good musicianship on this. Like, Sting's great and the songs are great, but also the other guys in the band like kill it on this one. So I'm a big fan. I also am very fond of this record because it did really good numbers for me. 8.5. 8.5. Okay, we're getting there. We got like just a handful left here. And we've got Jimi Hendrix, Rainbow Bridge, the official motion picture soundtrack. That is not officially a soundtrack for any motion picture. So, yeah, again, posthumous. Lots of problems with this. Too bad. Disrespectful to Jimmy. The cover is kind of cool, though. I do like that overlay. And the googly eyes. But yeah, that one, because of the disrespect, 5.9. That's probably my lowest score, I think. 5.9. All right. The start of Song Stories. John Lennon, Greatest Hits, Shaved Fish. You got hitters on here. What did I go through? Give Peace a Chance. Cold Turkey. Mother. Oh, so heartbreaking. Oh, John Lennon. Imagine. Happy Christmas. War is Over. Hitters. All hitters. Sick album art too. Apparently a bunch of like hidden things in here that I have never found, but yeah, apparently there are. Anyway, sick album. John Lennon's dope. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. You got 8.7 on that, John. Greatest hits? How can I not? All right, this is where the Terrence Trent D'Arby, or Sananda. I actually don't remember what it is, but I think it's Sananda Matreo. He changed his name. I called him Terrence Trent D'Arby the whole video. First, because I wasn't confident in my ability not to fuck up his change name. I really do apologize, though. And secondly, because the record is Terrence Trent D'Arby, and so I felt like it was accurate. At that time, he had not changed his name yet. So, good album. Man, he is crazy. Like, his voice is so good, and it's just too bad, I think, that he really... I get why. I really do get why, but I think it's too bad that he sort of railed against the comparisons to Michael and Prince, because, like, those are, first of all, very flattering comparisons, in my opinion. And second of all, like, dude, those guys are really good, and that means you're really good also. His voice is incredible. Who's Loving You? Sorry, these are like in crazy cursive. So Dance a Little Sister was good. Wishing Well is good. It's a good album. I like it, actually. It's not necessarily something that would normally be something I would fuck with. But yeah, I fuck with you, Terrence Trent D'Arby. 7.7. Roxy Music. This album was crazy. The dog Brian Eno in the band. You know, some of these like, because it's Brian Ferry. Brian Ferry's the big guy, the two Brians, but Brian Eno. Oh my God, Brian Eno. And yeah, I definitely added this on my streamer. And okay, Sea Breezes. Wow, Sea Breezes. Oh my God, there's a part of that song where Brian Ferry's singing, and then it goes to this like crazy synthesizer part with Eno. Oh wow, so much emotion in that. I love that song, Sea Breezes. And the album's good too. So for me, that album, 8.6. 8.5. 8.5. Kurt Vile, Smoke Ring for My Halo. We're almost done the first 33 here. Jeez. This one I had seen, and there's some more over there, but I had seen this album sort of out of the corner of my eye when I would pick, and I'm like, one day we're going to pick something modern. We did. Really good. I'm a big fan of Kurt Weill. For this one, Smoke Ring for My Halo, honestly, like the song Smoke Ring for My Halo. There's a bunch of other ones too that are good. Baby's Arms, Puppet to the Man. But yeah, Smoke Ring for My Halo, excellent song, great album. Kurt Weill has a really distinct style, very recognizable as soon as you hear it. He's great. 8.5. Mike and the Mechanics, The Living Years. Mike and the Mechanics. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Not necessarily my biggest hitter here, as far as I'm concerned, but they were a super group formed around Mike Rutherford, and yeah, it's a good album. Don't think I put it in my streamers. 7.1. And that brings us to the 33rd album, Lionheart. Oh, I'm sorry, I just rubbed the mic there. Probably that sounded terrible, but Lionheart. Yeah, Kate Bush. Wow. Excellent album. I really enjoyed Oh England, My Lionheart. Yeah, that's probably the one that stands out to me the most. Like, some of these other ones are good, definitely. But yeah, Oh England, My Lionheart. So good. This was an interesting album, as we talked about, because a lot of these songs were made before Kate Bush blew up. So she did her debut album, and then they wanted the second one really quickly. So she went back to some stuff that she had already written. Really good. Really, really good. It's her worst album, though, apparently. I still liked it. I'm going to give that a 7.5. So, yeah, that's the first 33. Sort of like a quick little introduction to the collection. I think my camera's just about to run out right now, so I'm going to let you guys go. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me ramble for however long it was. I appreciate you guys. We'll be back with another record on Wednesday. Take care of yourselves.